An interim injunction banning anti-LGBT protests outside a school in Birmingham will remain in place ahead of a full trial next month. The original ban, which established a prohibited zone around Anderton Park Primary School, was imposed on the 31st of May. Following a legal challenge, a judge at the High Court in Birmingham has ruled that the protest should not be permitted. Joined by Dr. Salman Butt, he is the chief editor of Islamic current affairs website Islam 21C. He supports the protests. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us. So you must be disappointed with the decision today.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I'm not very disappointed because I welcome a full trial to take place in the coming weeks. Hopefully, I think that would be better for all parties involved.
But in the meantime, the protests should stop.
Well, I mean, it has to be said that the majority of schools in the area, the vast majority, something in the order of 20 plus schools in the area, they've actually had no issues really with no protests, nothing like that. It's just been this one school which has refused to consult the parents, according to the parents, in any meaningful way. So the parents have made their point and they're going to continue to try and make their point however they can, but it must be clarified that the parents aren't the ones making this thing an exception here. The vast majority of schools in the area have, I've been told, acted maturely, consulted the parents, as is their legal right under the law, apart from this school, unfortunately. And this is why there's a lot of bad blood between parents and some teachers.
So you think that the school's breaking the law?
This is the accusation the parents have levelled against them, and luckily in a legal trial or a case coming in the coming weeks, it tends to be more black and white on the actual facts rather than a lot of the misinformation and kind of ideological smears levelled from both sides.
OK, so my understanding is that the school, the government, decides on a curriculum, not parents.
The law states that the government decides the national curriculum, but it explicitly states that for sexual relationship education and sensitive issues, two things: age appropriateness and the philosophical convictions of the parents have to be taken into account. And the parents have been arguing that the school has not been doing this. That's their accusation, that the school has been acting unlawfully in that regard.
And what is it in relation to this little booklet that is so offensive to parents?
The parents I've spoken to, they don't really seem to be particularly offended about a particular booklet or not. It's particular philosophical convictions of some teachers being, as they regard, proselytized or indoctrinated onto their children without proper consultation. So they don't have any issue with, teaching facts or teaching science. They have issues with certain philosophical convictions about what is an appropriate and inappropriate, way of life, or things like sexuality and gender. They take issue with that. So kids coming home and saying, "Mummy, I think I might be a boy trapped inside a girl's body," or the other way around. That's what parents have been really upset by.
Have there been specific cases of that happening?
Yes, that's exactly what the parents have been protesting about. The actual booklets that you use, that's more of a secondary concern for the parents. Their real concern is the way that certain things are being taught, such as transgender kind of ideas and ideas about what is an appropriate and inappropriate type of relationship, what is okay and what is not okay. These things are, they believe, are transgressions from facts into values, into, what is okay, what is morally right and morally wrong. They say that parents should be the primary givers of moral and philosophical convictions and religious beliefs, not teachers. And teachers should only do so on behalf of parents.
What age are we talking about?
Pardon?
What age are we talking about?
So this is, there's different programs. The Anderton Park Primary School, they've been rolling these out right from year one, if I'm not mistaken. And it's less about the exact material that's being taught and more about what the parents are.
I don't know what year one is. Tell me what year one is.
5 years old.
Okay, so 5-year-olds are coming home and saying, "I don't know if I'm a little girl or a little boy, Mummy, because of what teachers said at school."
That's what some parents have told me, yes. They have a public statement that should be available online. You can search. their position statement, because there's been a lot of misinformation about what the parents are actually protesting. So they should hopefully clear it up. We're going to be publishing it on Islam 21C as well.
Okay. And these little 5-year-olds upwards, one wonders what they feel about these protesters outside of the school as they go in and out of school every day.
I agree, it's not ideal at all, but I disagree with the way that many people have been painting out the protesters as being at fault here. This is a two-way street. They're arguing that they haven't been given their legal rights given to them by the UK law and many other international conventions.
But you feel that it's okay for people to shout and wave placards at kids as they're walking in and out of school?
No, I don't think it's appropriate to do it at kids, but from what I've seen of the protests and the copious number of videos and stuff online, they appear to be very peaceful and genuinely concerned, and it's a last resort that they've had to take to protest.
You haven't seen any shouting, you haven't seen Jess Phillips MP being shouted at. We're looking at somebody with a megaphone raising their hands in the air. We're looking at other people with hiding their faces, carrying banners. You've not seen any of those pictures?
I have, but I disagree that they're shouting at children. They, in fact,
the children are there, and the children are walking out of school. They're little, they're confused, they don't know what's going on. I'm just asking you whether you think that that's appropriate.
It depends. I'd have to be there for myself. But what we can say for sure is the people who are most, wary of the children's upbringing, the children's, mental health and so forth, are the parents who are actually protesting themselves. They said the vast majority of the parents of the children that go to that school were involved or supporting the protest. So I'd rather let the parents speak for themselves rather than me from 100 miles away give my tuppence.
Yeah, and what about protesters who don't have kids at the school but have got megaphones and banners and are shouting, not necessarily at the children, but as the children walk past either into school or out of at the start of the day or at the end? You think that's okay?
I'd have to see what they're talking about. Obviously, again, the fact that they're having to protest like this is a matter of last resort, and nobody wants to see this. They didn't, wake up one day and say, let's. My
question. With respect, you're not answering my question. I've described to you the images, and we've shown the footage to our viewers. And one guy particularly has a megaphone, as if he can't shout loudly enough. As it is, the police have had to be called to keep things under control. People have got their faces covered, they've got banners. They're not all parents of children at this school. And these little ones, as you say, 5 years old, have to walk in and out. They have to run this gauntlet every day. Do you think that that's okay? That's my question to you.
I would have to see what they're actually doing. From everything I've seen, they are perfectly peaceful, perfectly law-abiding, citizens, exercise the democratic right, but they've been smeared and maligned and demonized in a way to try and make this look like some kind of sinister plot or sinister kind of objective. These are the parents, in the vast majority of cases, parents, mums, dad, aunties, uncles, brothers, sisters, whatever, the family members of these very children that you appear to care so much about. So these children, I would leave their better interest to the very family members that are protesting on their behalf and for them.
I wouldn't want my little one walking through that every day, would you?
Neither would I, but
okay.
Obviously the parents have had to find themselves between a rock and a hard place. What parent would want their child to be subjected to that?
Good to talk to you, thank you.